So this is going to be my second attempt to film this because the camera just stopped while I was in the middle of recording. But anyway, I want to talk about Need for Speed Unbound again because we just got a new trailer a couple days ago, maybe a few days ago. I haven't had the time to get into it and talk about it as well as not having the time to talk about some other things like Sonic Frontiers. So we're gonna do all that here. Um, and the reason why I'm doing this video is because the last video I made about Need for Speed Unbound, I did get some angry comments about what I was saying. And I think some of those commenters were misunderstanding what I was trying to say, or they are refusing to listen because they're fanboys who don't really care about other people's opinions, and that's fine. If you want to waste your money on a product that's, lackluster, by all means, you do what you want with your money. I don't give a shit. But I want to talk about this game because I have some thoughts of why I think this game is gonna suck. And it's the same thing that happened with Saints Row, same thing that happened with Sonic Frontiers. Um, so we're gonna go into that and together. With this recent trailer, they did show a bit more to add to the stance I'm making of why this game is not worth your money and why it's going to be a piece of crap. The first thing is the fact that they are trying to push this selling point of ASAP Rocky being in the game. I don't know who out there is a fan of ASAP Rocky or who is buying the game just because ASAP Rocky is in the game, but it doesn't make any sense to me because I don't know if he has any kind of like connection to cars or if they just said, hey, let's just find someone cool that we're going to put in the game, and they say, hey, put ASAP Rocky for whatever fucking reason. Who knows? Um, me personally, I'm not a fan of his. I don't think he's a good music artist. I don't think he's a good rapper. I don't really give a shit. And I don't understand why he was chosen to be in the game when you could have done, I understand maybe not wanting to put a Fast and Furious actor in the game. That's a whole other thing. I'm a huge Fast and Furious fan, but I don't think I would want to see Vin Diesel or, Michelle Rodriguez in a Need for Speed game. Um, Going on to add to that whole thing about this game, um, I don't think that there is a reason to buy this game at full price because with these trailers, like the one we got recently and the one we got previously, there are so many like transitions and like the transitions they have in the game. It's too frequent. It's too bizarre. Like there's so many different things in the screen transitioning, and it tells me that they're hiding something that's kind of like in plain sight, if you know what I mean. Now, this is the same situation with Saints Row, where I made videos about it saying, look, they're not showing you everything despite all the trailers that we're getting. They're really not showing you much to say, hey, this game is going to suck. And what happened? It released and it sucked. Gotham Knights. There was a lot of videos, a lot of trailers, a lot of gameplay stuff, but it was also as if they were trying to hide the fact that the game was going to be trash despite putting it right in your face. It's in plain sight. And some people did attack me in the comments about, well, I don't care if it's 30 frames per second, or how is this game going to be bad because it's 30 frames per second. And they clearly misunderstood the point. The point I was making was the Gotham Knights was a next gen only game, PS5, Series S and X, and PC. And especially for the PS5 and the Series X, a game on those next gen consoles, not on PS4, not on Xbox One, on these next gen consoles can't run minimum 60 frames per second. That's bad. And it wasn't the point I was trying to make that, oh, if a game runs 30 frames per second, it sucks. No, there was many more reasons why the game sucked. Okay, my brother has it. He plays. He spent money. He spent money on it, so he's gonna play it. But there's a lot wrong with the game in terms of the performance, the pop-ins here and there, the story, the fact that combat I heard was pretty bad. Stealth was almost non-existent. Like stealth was garbage. There's a lot wrong with that game, and if you want to pick it up, I say it's a Black Friday deal type of game. You and a friend can buy it on Black Friday at half price or something, and you could do co-op. I heard co-op was supposed to be fun, but I haven't seen any videos or reviewers talking about the co-op performance. So it's up in the air right now, right? But regardless, Saints Row, terrible. Hiding stuff in plain sight. Gotham Knights, terrible. Hiding stuff in plain sight. Sonic Frontiers. This one was a bit surprising in a way because it is looking like it's getting sevens across the board, which is not great, but it's not terrible. And I think a 7 for a Sonic game is as good as it's going to get for a while. I don't hide the fact that I'm not a Sonic fan. I hate Sonic the Hedgehog. I hate Sega. I think Sega should have died a long time ago. I think Nintendo, honestly, should just buy out Sega and make Sonic exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. Give them another exclusive game because you know Nintendo will put in the work to make a Sonic game good. Now, my problem with Sonic Frontiers is, and I try to explain this to other people, in videos, and people at the same time would making some comments about Sonic towards me, and the game is a next gen game with all these crazy pop-ins and all these performance issues. I heard from constant reviewers that their new combat system, which is a big part of a video game, the combat, was trash. They said the combat is not that great. It's basic. It's plain. How are you going to take a whole game mechanic and not develop it to its full potential to what it's supposed to do? You got a crappy combat mechanic in a game that has a lot of combat. Doesn't make any sense. The levels are supposed to be really short. I have seen a couple of them that were really short. I will say the Green Hills level was really cool to see that classic level in 3D. But I heard that a lot of levels are very short. Some levels, or even like the last 2 islands you can explore, they say it's really bad. The islands were just plain or terrible or just basic. Something along those lines. And then you have, like I said, all the pop-ins and stuff. That's bad, okay? But the game is getting like 7s, so again, Black Friday deal type of purchase, half off purchase. And some people some people will say shit like, "Oh, what about other games on like the Switch that has pop-ins, right? Like Bayonetta 3. I'm gonna admit that Bayonetta 3 does have some pop-ins, but it's on the Switch. It's not on a next gen console. Okay, so it's kind of allowed because Nintendo refuses to improve their hardware. And I've mentioned this before. There was an article that came out where Capcom asked Nintendo, "Hey, can you make better hardware for the Switch? Allow us to have access to more RAM so we can develop bigger and better games for the Switch." And Nintendo said, "No, use what we got. That's the best we're gonna do for you guys." So with Need for Speed Unbound, and it has to do with these, all these trailers and videos are out there, but they're showing you a lot while not showing you everything, if you know what I mean. And I've said this before. I got attacked in the comments for Need for Speed, but I said this in my last video. The city looks good from what I've seen so far. I looked at the map of the game on their website. The map looks huge. Looks like there's a lot of areas to explore, a lot of diversity in the areas. City areas and like maybe some country areas, some like industrial areas. So I'm excited to see how the city looks in this game. As for the vehicles, some cars look good, some cars look like shit. There's actually one video I found. I might just put the clip here, but there's a video where the player is getting chased by the cops, and the cops like headlights are kind of shining through the car, not under the car, but through the car. So I guess light can travel through a vehicle and just shine in front as if it's the vehicle's lights, if you know what I mean. But anyway, all these transitions in the trailers, the way that they're showing too many transitions and you can't really see what's going on the screen, or they'll show you like a second and a half of gameplay, transition to another second and a half, to just 2 seconds of gameplay. There's no like consistent straight gameplay in these trailers. Show me one full race or at least half of a race with no transitions, no cuts, no, just straight up racing or a cop chase. Let me see that to be able to say, okay, we got something to work with here. The game releases in a couple of weeks. It releases in the beginning of December. Today is, as of filming this, is November 13th. So we got around 3 weeks, not even, basically about 2 weeks before this game releases, because it releases on December 2nd, I believe. So we got all of this week, all of next week, and okay, so 3 weeks. 3 weeks from now, and there's still nothing to see here that's like hey, there's all this full gameplay of the game. That we can see the performance, we can see the graphics, we can see how the cars handle, we can see how the police chases are done, how the races are handled. We can see the NPCs. Is there a lot of cars in the map? Is there no cars at all in the map? And fanboys want to ignore the signs. Like, we are at a point where the resources are at your hands. Go to fucking YouTube, look up every Need for Speed Unbound video you can find. Show me, someone in the comments, show me proof that this game is going to run smoothly, whether it's 30 frames or 60 frames. Show me that it's going to look good, that there's no frame rates, no pop-ins, no lagging or anything like that. Show me it, and I might say, okay, this game might have something going for it. But as far as I can see, it doesn't. The anime style it's kind of weird to me. I did get corrected on that. Yes, you can disable the anime like screen effects in the game, but why put it in the game as one of your main features, main mechanics, and then say, hey, you know what? If you don't like it, you can remove it, right? It's kind of like not sticking to your guns or not sticking up for yourself. Like, oh yeah, we put this in, but you can remove it if you don't like it. When the mindset could have been, we put this in, you don't like it, deal with it, right? But whatever. If I do get the game, I'm definitely disabling all of that. But as I said, they're not really showing you anything with all these videos to know what exactly is the story. Why is ASAP Rocky in the game? What role does he play? How big is the map actually? How packed is the map with NPC cars? Or will it have a bit more cars because it's now on next gen? Or typical Need for Speed, one car every block or one car every other block, something like that. I don't think that this game is going to be worth the full price money that you could pay for it, and I think that Need for Speed is probably just at the end of it, because you can't really tell me, you can't sit there and tell me that you trust this game with EA. You cannot tell me you trust EA to handle this game perfectly, because when has EA ever made a good game in the past, 5 or so years, 10 years maybe? If you're going to say Jedi Fallen Order, guess what? That was Respawn Entertainment who had their full hand on the wheel for that one. EA was just like, we're going to let them run it, okay? And I'm not a Need for Speed hater. I've been a fan of Need for Speed for years. Back in like Hot Pursuit 2, Underground 1, Underground 2, the original Most Wanted, not that remake bullshit. Carbon was trash. I didn't play Pro Street or Pro Street 2. I didn't play Undercover. I did play the Hot Pursuit reboot. I played Rivals, which was one of my favorite ones. Rivals was fun as hell. 2015 Need for Speed was great. Speaking of 2015 Need for Speed, a point that I wanted to make in my last video that got cut out or whatever was, you got ASAP Rocky in this game when, as far as I know, he has nothing to do with cars and vehicles. He's not like a professional racer, right? 2015 for Speed had those different racing icons who each had their own like mission branch in the game. Like, you can go and race Ken Block, or you get to race Nakasan. These are guys who have car backgrounds, have professional racing backgrounds. Those would make more sense to me if you had like Ken Block back in the game. If the Unicorn is not in the game, that's a personal reason of not to buy it for me, because the Unicorn has been in many racing games for a while now. Forza Horizon 3, 4, 5, Need for Speed 2015. I don't know if it's in Need for Speed Heat. I haven't gotten that far in Heat. I actually just went back to Heat recently, and it is better than what I remembered. Still not amazing. Still has some pop-in issues and some frame rate issues and stuff like that. It took me a while to get used to the arcade controls again, but I am going to give Need for Speed Heat a bit more credit than I used to back when I hated it. I got to put more time into it, but my point there is, I did love Need for Speed for a while. I was a Need for Speed fan. Even now, like, I've been a Forza fan for a bit. Forza Horizon 5, it didn't do it for me, so I kind of just stopped playing Horizon 5 a while ago. I hope Forza Motorsport 8 is phenomenal. I do play Gran Turismo 7 on my PS5. I haven't played it in a little while because of other games like Horizon Forbidden West, and I was playing Returnal with a friend of mine. And we just got God of War Ragnarok. And I also just got Bayonetta 3, so I haven't been playing Gran Turismo in a while. But I'm a racing guy. I like racing games. And I'm telling you, this game, Need for Speed Unbound, looks like dog shit. And it probably will perform like dog shit. I'm predicting review scores of around a 6, maybe a 7, which that is a half price game purchase right there. You want your games to be 8, 9s, and 10s. Ragnarok got 10 out of 10s. Bayonetta got 8 out of 10, I believe. So you want to get games in that range. And not to mention, and I made this comment before about buying Sonic versus God of War, because Sonic released one day before God of War. You may be a person who only has money for one game in a certain time frame, and depending on what consoles you own, if you have like more than one console, like if you have the Switch and you have a PlayStation or an Xbox, are you gonna buy Need for Speed over Pokemon, which is coming out next week actually, or it's Sunday now, so this week? Which again, Pokemon is on Switch, so of course it's not going to perform as well as the PS5 games and the Xbox Series X games. But it was kind of like my point with Sonic of like, are these games given certain release dates to fail on purpose? Like Sonic Frontiers, while it did get these 7s and all that, I don't know how well it's sold because some people may not have the money to buy 2 games in the same month, 2 games in the same week. And if they only have money for one and they had a PS5 or even a PS4, you're going to tell me that someone bought Sonic Frontiers over God of War Ragnarok? I highly doubt that. You're going to tell me that if someone who owns a Switch and who owns a PlayStation or an Xbox, they're going to buy Need for Speed Unbound and not Pokemon, which there are some people who don't play Pokemon, even people in my age group, which is weird because we've been Pokemon fans since the 90s and we grew up with Pokemon. Pokemon is easily one of the highest grossing franchises of all time, and it makes me not really question why Pokemon games are never nominated for Game of the Year awards, because I think they would maybe win a good amount of them, but that's a conversation for another video. So I don't think Need for Speed Unbound is going to sell well. I think it is set up to fail in terms of the release date and in terms of the lack of content to see what it's about. Like I said earlier, and I'm ending it with this point, there's a lot of videos on Need for Speed Unbound on YouTube that you can watch, but none of them really show you anything in terms of the game's performance, the detail, the story, the plot, or anything like that. Like, there's no real anything on this game. There is some stuff about customization, which is important as well. But like I said, if I get the game, it's for review purposes, just to prove a point. Yeah, don't waste your money. Save your money. Get it on sale if you want to play it. It'll probably be on Game Pass if you have an Xbox, and I think maybe on the PS Plus collection, especially because Game Pass has that EA deal. So, I mean, if it comes out on Game Pass day one, it probably won't, but eventually, if it will, I'll just play it on that and not waste the money because I got Game Pass anyway. So that's the video for today. Don't waste your money on Need for Speed Unbound. Go buy Ragnarok or Pokemon if you have one of those consoles. If you only own an Xbox, I don't know what to say really, because nothing has been releasing recently that I can think of that's that you can buy and enjoy. Maybe Sonic Frontiers. Not trying to be a dick, but there's no exclusives on Xbox anyway, right? Like, or nothing new that's been releasing for Xbox. So you can get Sonic Frontiers. It's getting 7s, so you can play that while I'm playing Pokemon and Bayonetta 3 and Ragnarok. So I know it sounds dickish. I'm sorry. It's just how it is, honestly. And I own an Xbox. Don't act like I'm a Sony pony. I own an Xbox. I just don't, I have Xbox, and I have Xbox. I just don't play it anymore because there's nothing to play on it, honestly. I might get Dead Space on the Xbox because I don't need to get it on the PS5. I can just play it on Xbox, and I'll probably Twitch stream that in January when it comes out. But that is just a run on, out of context, out of topic. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about this game, because I think this game is going to be crap, and I'm ready to be proven wrong. But if I'm not proven wrong, you can just suck it, right? I'm Anthony Olan, and I'll see you guys on the next one.